It's almost the same one. So this is 70.5.
So let's go again from Perek Beis, Mishnah.
It's always nice to have you here.
Sorry, Perek Beis, Mishnah Dalet. Mishnah Gimel. Sorry, second Perek, third Mishnah. We said yesterday, we're talking about our class system, or the different people that have different standards. So hamakabel lios chaver. If someone accepts upon himself the standard of being what's called a chaver, which is someone who's meticulous about tumah and taharah, about ritual impurity, so then he has to be strict about the following things. She can't sell produce to someone who's not particular about tumah and taharah, whether the produce is wet, which is more of a problem because it could immediately become tamei if it's touched by something tamei, or even if it's dry, that would first have to become wet and then be touched, but still there's a concern it'll get wet and it'll be touched, so you shouldn't sell it to him. You can't buy from him anything that's wet, because then there's a concern that it already became tamei. If it's dry, it couldn't have become tamei yet, so he could buy it. You can't be a guest by an amaretz, because again there's a concern that anything in his house might be tamei. And you can't have him as a guest by you because of his clothing, which came from his house, and there's an assumption that it might be tamei. Rabbi Yehuda adds a few more things he has to be strict on. He can't raise sheep or goats because of the concern that they might go graze in someone else's field. He can't be someone who's regularly making vows because he might not be able to keep or even remember everything he says, or too much of a joker. He can't be someone who regularly becomes tamei to mesim. Umeshamish Beis Medrash, and he has to learn in the Beis Medrash. Amrullah, and they said to him, Lo ba'il l'chlal. These things aren't included in the definition of a chaver. Okay. Mishnah Dalet. Hanach Taimim, the bakers. Lo yichayvu oisim chacham lahafresh. The chacham did not obligate them to be mafresh from Demai. Elakei Terumas Ma'aser, only Terumas Ma'aser, 1/100th that they could deal with. V'challah, that's a real obligation of theirs, right? They made the dough, so they have the obligation of challah. But Ma'aser Sheni, which is a full 10%, that they let them off the hook on, because like we explained yesterday, there was a lot of pressure from the government to keep bread prices low, the artificial price fixing, and therefore you wouldn't be able to keep up with the competition if they had to take off this another 10%. And so, the storekeepers, however, they're not allowed to sell Demai. Again, they make enough of a profit that Chazal's assessment was that if they take off the Demai, they'll still be able to be a profitable enterprise.
So how do you do that if it's already been baked?
The Chenvanim, no. The people that sell whatever, they sell produce. The storekeepers that are not the bakery, the grocery store.
Okay.
Right, so they're selling produce, so they'll take off Demai, and that won't undermine their profit margin too badly. Kol hamashpi'in b'midagas, but anyone who sells in large quantities, right? The wholesalers, they could sell Demai.
Going back to the baking, then the assumption is then that you have to take the challah, take off the challah.
The baker has to take off. The baker has to take off challah. That we say he has to take off Terumas Ma'aser and challah. Those two. The Ma'aser Sheni is what's going to be left. Right. The assumption would be you have to take that off. The 10%.
The 10% that's what I meant.
Right. The
so
second.
The loaf. You're saying a loaf of bread. They're selling a loaf of bread, and you have to then, when you buy it, you've got to take the 10% off.
Presumably, yes.
Presumably, okay.
Fine. And so same idea. The people that sell in large quantities, right? So the wholesalers, then we let sell Demai, because again, they have less of a profit margin. You take out 10%, and that'll wipe out their whole profit. So what does that mean? The people that sell wine, oil, grain, right? The people that sell the one large quantities of a single commodity.
Wholesalers,
right? Mishnah Hey. Rabbi Marks, let's say you're a wholesaler, and you happen to sell. You have a customer who comes in. You sell him a small quantity. I'm sure it happens. You don't really like those people because you don't make much profit off of them, but they exist. So then this small sale is is tuffle is secondary to the general business practice of the person of selling it in bulk as a wholesaler, and he could sell Demai. And the other way, es shedarkli macher badaka, if you're a storekeeper and you usually sell a little bit to individual customers, umadid begasa, and you happen to have a sale where you're selling large amount in bulk to somebody, tfela gas ladaka, again, the abnormal large sale you have here is secondary to your primary business of selling in little amounts, and you have the restrictions of a chenvani, of a regular storekeeper, and you cannot sell Demai. So it goes by...
Gasa means small quantity?
Gasa means big. Daka means small.
Daka, okay. Oh.
So it goes by your primary business model. If you're primarily a wholesaler, then you can sell Demai. If you're primarily a retailer, then you cannot. Fine. Ezu midagasa. So how do you define big? What if you make what quantity sales are you considered a large measurement? So biyavesh, when it comes to dry measures, it's shleishes kav. It's 3 kav. I would guess a kav is probably about a gallon. So about 3 gallons of not a dry measure really, but maybe 3 bushels, something like that. Right, so it's a large quantity, not tremendous. Ubalach, liquid dinar. It's the amount of liquid that you would sell for a dinar, which is an amount of money, which again is harder to pin down because telling you how much silver that was doesn't tell you how much. A dinar is 100 zuz, right? A dinar is right. It's a significant amount of money. Right. It's not a fortune, but it's a large sale. Rabbi Yossi says a less formal way to define it. Sali te'enim v'sali anav v'kupa shel yarik. If you sell baskets of figs or grapes or boxes of vegetables, if you sell them by estimation, so I just sell just a box. No one's weighing anything or anything. We have boxes of dates. Right, you come and buy them. So those again that's considered a big sale where you're just coming and buying a whole box. It doesn't really matter exactly how much it is, as opposed to if you're selling by the pound, then you would be obligated in taking off Demai. Okay, that's the end of the second Perek. Now we'll talk more next week. Not tomorrow, about the third Perek.
When you're talking about the document on the 200, then you're talking about your own personal products when you're selling. But if you're running a storekeeper, you're just running a store, a retail store.
You don't really have right. If you're running a retail store, it's going to be hard to not sell to your customers.
That's what okay. So the story is, don't be